Hi, for my second informative speech, I will actually be doing it on the siege at Waco. This occurred in Waco, Texas, at Mount Carmel. The reason for the siege was there was a religious cult that had violated several federal firearms laws, and this had been reported, and the ATF and FBI decided to raid the compound. The reason for the siege, this guy, David Kirsch, this actually comes from kxxv.com. David Kirsch had reportedly violated several federal firearms laws, automatic weapons. He stockpiled more than 1 million rounds of ammunition, and this had got the attention of the ATF FBI. And whenever they decided to roll up on his compound, they actually these suspicions were confirmed. They were met with gunfire from automatic weapons, anti-armor rounds, the vehicle-piercing rounds. On February 28th, this marked the first day of the 51-day standoff. Around 100 agents from the ATF, or the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau, raided the compound near Waco, Texas. Within the raid, 4 agents were killed. An unknown member of cultists were killed, and David Kirsch, their leader, was actually wounded. And after the firefight, there was a ceasefire, and within the ceasefire, he actually agreed with negotiators that he would release a certain amount of children each day as a show of good faith. And on the first day, he released 4 children. Yes. And on the 4th day, and this comes from history.com, after the aftermath of the first day, there was after the death of the ATF agents, 900 law enforcement officers surrounded the compound. This consisted of the FBI negotiators, FBI's hostage rescue team, hostage negotiators, stuff like that. They surrounded the compound so that the cult actually could not get a strategical advantage around them by running out the back, setting up spots where they would have more of an advantage in a firefight. On March the 3rd, Kirsch actually agrees that he will surrender. He says that he will surrender, but at the end of the day, it is known that it's become to known that he is lying. He says that he will only leave, or he will not leave, because God has told him that he cannot surrender, that he has to stand for something, and this is one of his demands is that he will be put on the radio, and he's actually put on the radio for a short period of time on the Christian radio channel as one of his demands. And when this demand was met, he released more children. On March the 18th, the FBI actually begins to put loudspeakers up that blares tapes, sounds, music, all in a loop, just to drive the cult insane, as kind of like a psychological warfare, which actually works, because on March the 19th, all the way through the 21st, in that time frame, 9 cultists leave the compound. They leave the compound because the psychological warfare was driving them crazy. They were taken immediately into federal custody, and this is how the police, FBI, ATF figured out how much firepower he had, what kind of firepower he had, that he had more than 1 million rounds of ammunition, and the kind of the layout of the compound in case they were to enter the compound. Then on March the 24th, Kirsch sees that there are now tanks lining up outside, and this really makes him mad, and so he decides that he is going to break off negotiations completely with the FBI and ATF, because he feels that they have not been 100% honest with him. April 14th, Kirsch tells law enforcement that he will surrender. There's been too much bloodshed. He will surrender, but he has to write his manuscript. He wants to write a manuscript of the book of Revelations from the Bible. And he says he will not come out before then, but they have to turn off the loudspeakers because it is interrupting his writing process. So on April 19th, they were actually quoted saying that they will end this on their terms, not the cult's terms. And this comes from the way, I don't want to mess up the website name, but it's spelled BRITANNICA.com. And they decide to launch an attack on the compound to try to get them to come out. They were not assaulting the compound. They were not firing upon the compound. They decided to deploy tear gas to make the cult members come out of the compound. When this happened, the cult members decided to set three fires in three different distinct locations to make the compound go up in flames faster. This was kind of their last ditch effort of going out on their own terms, not coming out to law enforcement. And during the fire, 9 different cult members actually decided they didn't want to die in the fire and that they were going to escape. So they escaped out of the compound, of which they were immediately arrested. And after the fire cleared, it was also reported that the fire took only 15 minutes to engulf the entire building. After the fire, there were 75 bodies found. 25 of the bodies actually belonged to children. And it was also later determined that Kirsch was fatally shot. He actually shot himself in the compound to stop himself from being burned alive. These are my photo sources. This is where I got all the photos. These are my sources for all the information I got. Now there's a great documentary that I just watched on Netflix about this. It came out this past Wednesday. Another great source for this. Thank you.